I'm one of the very few people that absolutely prefer a Zune over an iPod Touch. I don't know why I like these Zunes, I just do. For a while now, this has been my main Zune. It's a very well taken care of white Zune I got off eBay for 40 bucks. It's a 30 gig. I have about 500 songs, so it's not that much. I don't really listen to much. I'm very, very boring and very, very particular when it comes to my songs. But this has been my Zune, and it's been a great little purchase for 40 bucks. The battery, unfortunately, is getting a little old in life, and it will have to unfortunately be replaced at some point. I'm not looking forward to that, but luckily, since this one's all made out of plastic, replacing the battery is going to be fairly easy. From what I could tell, I can actually just take the normal replacement batteries you buy on eBay for like an iPod Classics and whatnot, and jam it into this thing. I know you can actually get that stupid high capacity iPod battery and put it into this thing too. The only reason why I don't want to do that is because, well, this thing's not really meant for that, and I don't know how well the thing will actually handle charging like a 3,000 milliwatt hour lithium battery when this thing's really only meant to have like a 1,000 watt battery inside it. So that's something I just don't really want to risk. And unironically, this thing currently lasts more than long enough when I want to play music, but that's not here or there. Eventually the battery will be replaced. I just don't know when. So with that said, as you can also see by the corners, I have a few other Zunes. Now, I'm a volunteer at my local Free Geek. We rarely get these things for obvious reasons, but when we do get them, I want to try and buy them because, well, I like them. So the first Zune I bought from my local Free Geek was an 80 gig model. This one did not turn on, and I would eventually learn that the negative terminal on the lithium battery actually got corroded away by acid. That's the case with the other two right here, but obviously when I bought this one, I didn't know that was the case at the time. I would plug it in and I'll just get the little battery flat time, but nothing after that. Again, it was because the negative terminal got corroded away and whatnot. So in comes about a couple days from now, or before whatever, recently, in came two new Zunes, two 128 gigs. These two right here, to be more precise, the gloss ones. So this one right here was the first one I bought. It has been powered out as a to make a Franken Zune, which I'll talk about in a brief bit, but everything in this particular Zune still fully works. Eventually I want to get this one up and running, but for the time being, this was more of just a parts Zune. And then, about a day or two ago, I bought this one right here, which is now basically all it needs, a new battery. Now, obviously, I've not been able to power this one on. I'm fairly certain this one probably has the original owner's data on it. So when I do eventually get the battery for this thing and I do power it on, I will have to nuke this thing. But since I'm fairly certain that both this one and this one right here are from the same household, I'm fairly certain this one's going to be loaded up with a bunch of songs. Because this one right here, prior to nuking it, had about 12,000 songs. So I'm fairly certain this one's probably going to have the exact same amount of songs, if not maybe more. I'll eventually find that out whenever I do get a battery for this thing. But for the time being, I'm just going to use it. I'm just going to keep it like this. And now on to the Franken Zune. Here is the Franken Zune. Why do I call it a Franken Zune? Well, I had the main board from the first 128 gig Zune in this one right here. Reason being is this is the main board originally from the 80 gig Zune right here. When I was initially trying to fix this thing up and figure out what was wrong with it, I accidentally broke the little plastic clasp that latches a hard drive that latches a little hard drive cable into this little connector. So this board fully functions. It's just that the little plastic clip here is busted and there's no way to connect the hard drive as far as I know. I could probably like hard solder it on if I really want to get this thing up and running, or maybe someone with better skills or knowledge could actually replace that little tab, but I ain't that person and I just want to keep this board around for replacements and whatnot. So I took the board out of that one right there, put it in this one, and then I took the 128 gig hard drive also from this one, plopped it in this guy right here, and I rigged up a battery solution to actually allow me to power the thing up. So what I've done is I took apart now 3 BMSs, and this is now the third attempt, and I think I now finally have it set up in a way to where it'll work, to where the BMS is connected to the Zune and whatnot itself, but I connected the positive and negative ends that would normally be for the battery onto this nice little extension cable right here. This little extension cable goes to this little EB battery right here, this little EB 400 milliwatt hour battery, which is enough to actually power the thing up and whatnot. But obviously, since this thing's about to have maybe about 1,000 milliwatt hour battery, it always thinks the battery is pretty much low or flat when it's really not. It will run for quite a while. I actually listened to this thing for like 2-3 hours without a single shutdown a little while ago. So it does work. It's just the battery indication for the actual charge is completely fucked up because, again, I'm using such a low capacity battery to where the BMS is written for a higher capacity battery. With that said, I can buy like a little cheap battery backup cell phone charger thing from Walmart, and I can use one of those one cell lithium, one of those little guys, and just wire it up with this little cable right here, and have this thing probably fully function as intended, and if not anything else, have an even longer life than the replacement battery I'm eventually going to get from like Amazon or something. So when it comes to my Zunes, I think that's pretty much it. I have no real rhyme or reason to upload this video. I just want to upload a video to show off my Zunes that I own because, like I said, I'm one of the very few weirdos out there that very much prefers a Zune over an iPod Classic. And this is coming from someone that actually much preferred a iPod Classic way back in the day, and now I very much prefer a Zune. So with that said, I think that's pretty much it for the video. I really don't have much else to talk about. With that said, for those that are wondering when it comes to my papercraft stuff, I still want to do that stuff. I am going to. I'm just a little bit on the low right now, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. And I'm doing other things that are more technically inclined, but I just haven't gone around and do a video on them or done a video on them in general because I don't see it as interesting.